Welcome back, everybody. We appreciate that you are clicking the play button on the 357 Sex in the City podcast. We are doing this for you. We are doing it so that you get a glimpse into a world that you may never get a glimpse into other than by listening to the 357 Sex in the City podcast. It's about a gay sauna that was in Sydney. It closed its doors 2 years ago, and we are revisiting what happened inside with the owners, Ty and Luke. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about closed and open relationships and how do they happen and why do people have an open relationship versus a closed relationship. This is something in the gay world which is quite normal from my perspective, something that happens quite regularly. I do not know what it's like in the straight world, but often you hear, oh, we have an open relationship, or, oh no, I couldn't do an open relationship. We definitely have a closed relationship. For our audience who may not understand it, could you explain?
I want to start because I think there's only one word which is the key to this entire discussion: honesty.
Yes, that's very
true. That
true.
is the key word. It depends if you want to have an honest relationship or an open relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's all about honesty, because not once in the nearly 40 years that I've been with Luke did we ever go to bed at night and have a secret or a lie between us, because we always told each other what we were doing sexually. And generally, I think most couples, straight, gay, anybody, the only time they ever lie is generally about having an affair or sex. And I think that's a key to this conversation.
But when we first, I met Ty when I was 18 and you were 25, we started our relationship as a closed relationship. We were actually closed for a while. And in the end, we opened it up. So I can't remember the years that we were shut and we were exclusive with each other.
But it sort of blends together now, doesn't it?
Yeah, just all blends. But
sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, so I think relationships, open or closed, it's really up to the individual people that are inside that relationship. They have to make that decision.
And whatever works for them, that's the most important.
That's right, and it doesn't work for everybody, you know.
Can you explain what is a closed relationship? What is an open relationship?
I've learned this became very sort of relevant to us because working at the sauna and letting the people in and out every day.
Well, sex was our business.
Sex was our business. And so dozens of people would say to me, oh, we are totally monogamous, we're in a closed relationship. And then we'd all go out for dinner and this person turns up with a partner who's a regular at 357. And this was such a regular event. It was at the supermarket where you'd see someone with their wife. It was at the clothing shop where you'd see a guy with his boyfriend. Mm. And they're always, when you'd see those people socially, that one of them would say we're in a totally monogamous, honest relationship, and they're always lying because we recognise them from the sauna. And I just used to say to Luke, I'm so happy that we don't have that between us.
Well, I think the definition of a closed relationship is one-on-one. You know, there's nobody else inside that relationship.
Okay.
And an open relationship, like our particular open relationship, had boundaries as well. Like our boundary was, you know, the house was our house and we would never have people back to our house, but Ty was sometimes fell off the wagon with that. And
I didn't always want to host at the sauna.
Yeah, that's right. But so it's really, so an open relationship is like that. You know, some of our gay friends have different types of relationships in open and different rules.
You can't date.
Yeah, and you know, some of the rules are you can't kiss each other. It just depends upon what that couple.
Oral sex only.
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone's got
or
different
condom
rules.
sex. You know, a lot of open relationships want to insist on condom sex to stop any STIs and things like that, bringing it home to your partner, which is fair enough.
So a closed relationship is one-on-one.
Yep.
Nobody else is allowed into that relationship to have any sex.
Yeah.
An open relationship opens it up. So the couple might say, yes, you can go and have fun with someone else. I'm okay with that. The other person might not. But then there are rules. So different couples bring in different rules.
Yes.
And for everybody sitting out there, don't think this is just a gay thing, because it's honestly not. Yeah. Straight people have exactly the same issues.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So many of them could have opened up their relationships and stayed together instead of divorcing over one person having sex with one other person.
Yeah.
So why would somebody go from a closed relationship, and here I'm talking about you, both of you here around this table, you went from a closed relationship. Why? Yeah. First of all, did you have that closed relationship, and why did you open it up?
And why can you still love somebody so much but you don't want to have sex with them anymore?
Good question.
Or the sex starts to end?
Well, I think like for me personally, like having a close relationship at the start, I think it was more traditional for me to have a close relationship because of my upbringing.
Learned behavior.
Yeah, it's just, it's sort of my parents sort of did it and, my grandparents did it. And so I just thought, well, that's the process I have to live in. And then, I realized that if you do love somebody, you want them to be happy. That was my own personal take on it. And if having multiple sex partners made Ty happy, that was okay. And I think that was how we moved into that situation.
We started to bring someone back to...
Yeah, we started off with threesomes and things like that first.
And then eventually our taste changed and someone that I wanted to have fun with, you didn't.
Yes.
And someone you wanted to have fun with, I didn't.
Yeah, that's right. And also our sex drives were different. Like you had a very high sex drive, I had a very low sex drive. So that combination also helped with us deciding what worked for us. And anybody listening to this podcast, these relationships, your relationship, whoever's listening or whatever, it's totally personal and everybody's got their own journey inside their relationship.
Well, we had spontaneous sex every Friday night at 7:45.
Yeah. And it lasted 3 minutes and that was it for the week. Thank you. It was the best sex I ever had.
We'd always have dinner and you go, one guy says and I go, okay.
It was the best sex I have ever had. Thank you so much, Ty.
So rude.
Yeah, so, and
made
that's
you
how,
moan for years.
Yes, literally. So until, that's how that sort of happened. And then the sort of, for us, the sex sort of dropped off eventually, and we just sort of started.
And we slept in the same bed for still another 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, we were still sleeping in the same bed.
Then we stopped doing that.
Yeah, really the birth of 357 changed that because we were working different hours and I was working like finishing at midnight, coming into the level 4 to sleep and stuff like that, and you'd already been asleep. So we started sleeping apart. And that's when that happened. And we now still share houses together and like our bedrooms are separate.
Yeah.
But our life is together. So
and still say goodnight to you every night and good morning to you every morning.
Always, yep, absolutely.
And I never put my head on my pillow and know that there's a secret between us, which is really great.
Yeah. Well, we're very lucky like that.
I think so. And this is, we've got so many examples of couples who have lied to each other that it's not even, look, it's also embarrassing for the other person, I think, more than, like, here's an example. We had an ACON meeting some years ago and we all sat down and this couple turned up and they introduced themselves and we knew one of the guys as not just a regular, an everyday regular. And he introduced us to his partner and his partner said, oh, yeah, he goes, we've always wanted to have a look at the sauna. Maybe one day you could give us a tour. And I knew that this guy comes in every day. He could give me a tour of my own venue.
Yeah.
So, and I felt sorry for the other guy and I thought, how sad that they don't have an honest relationship.
Yeah.
And that's why for me, that honesty is very important.
So they were in what they thought both a close relationship.
Yes, he said he actually said the words, yes, look, we're in a close relationship. We've been together for 9 years, but his partner's in every day during the lunchtime.
So that brings it back to that honesty part. A good relationship, the foundation of a good relationship is honesty. If you can be honest with each other, you've got a really sound base and foundation.
For me. Yeah. And I've got lots of gay friends who just don't want to talk. They don't want to tell each other. So they each know that they play, but they don't want to know anything about it.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's also very, very common.
Yes.
I would hate that, right? But that's great for somebody else and it works really well for a lot of other couples. And
I just think with any relationship, you create your own rules inside of it. And one size does not fit all. And it's up to the individuals inside that relationship to make it work.
So the story is a little bit, I don't know if it's relevant, but I do want to tell it. Look, we went to dinner with friends of ours who are a religious couple and I was talking to his wife at the table and I said something about 357 and she was quite snappy and she goes, look, I don't want to talk about this. This is my area. This is my...
We were in a suburb, like a very suburban suburb.
Very suburban. It wasn't 20 kilometres out of town.
Correct. It wasn't in Surrey Hills.
So somewhere like Meadowbank or Epping or an area like that.
It was a very suburban cafe, a restaurant.
And she goes, I'm known here at the church. All my friends are here. She goes, I don't want to have this, any of these. And I wasn't saying anything particularly rude.
I think we were just talking about something in the running book that had happened. Like it was one of those
something
stories.
that had happened that day or something. And it wasn't that. But anyway, she was horribly embarrassed. And she goes, I know everybody here and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there was 2 empty chairs and those 2 people had just walked in. And she sat up and she goes, I'd like to introduce you to the pastor of the church and this other person, whatever. One of those people was a regular at 357.
Correct, yeah.
And it was really, really difficult and really embarrassing and really bad not only did that person never come back to 357, but to have us at the table there for that person was obviously just so terrible.
Yeah.
And I just felt, again, sorry for that couple, you know. So, and here she was telling me how embarrassed she was about everything, but her own friend, her very best friend, her husband, was a regular at the sauna.
That's right.
And they were extremely religious. And she goes, we don't talk about sex. We don't talk about. And again, I just thought this is so hypocritical. This whole world is just so hypocritical.
But something, Richard, which you probably know, but the listeners won't know, both Ty and I talk about sex as if it's something very natural and not to be shameful. And that's why we wanted to do this podcast.
But we're never gross when we talk about it.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
And you have to be respectful and the stuff. But we wanted to do this podcast about sex because, so many people are doing it, basically 99% of the planet, but nobody really talks about it. And it's always a taboo subject. And we've never really understood it, especially after owning this venue for so long and seeing what we've seen. I think it's a great thing to be able to talk about it because we also had another couple of friends. Do you remember? I can't use their name. But
just use mythical and comical names.
Well,
I think
say Sybil and Basil.
Straight out of Fawlty Towers.
Good idea.
But I remember the Sybil gave me a call. It was anyway. She rang me and she goes, "Are you at home?" And they were our friends. And I said, "Yeah, I'm at home." And she popped around and she was going through a hard time with her husband. It's a straight couple, and both Ty and I are not therapists, we're not sex therapists, but because we're so relaxed about sex, we talk about it. And she just wanted to ask us how our relationship worked because her husband wanted a divorce and she didn't want to have a divorce. She wanted to stay inside the family home and keep her children inside the home and stuff. And she was asking us questions on how our relationship worked.
Because you had an open relationship and she knew that.
Yeah, and we sort of basically at that stage we had an asexual relationship with each other. It was just purely, but we were still together. And so she was asking us the dynamics on, how it would work in her world because that's what she wanted. She actually wanted that. She didn't want to sell the family home. She wanted to stay with her husband.
And she was really good about, like she said, look, my sex, I don't feel sexual at all.
Yeah.
She says, I don't want to have sex. That part of my life is sort of dead to me at the moment. She goes,
and she didn't want to stop her husband.
She goes, I understand that my husband needs sex, but I don't want to give it to him. And she actually said the whole idea of sex to her was repulsive.
So she didn't want to have sex with her husband.
Correct. But she didn't have anybody else. She didn't have anybody else at the time.
She was asexual.
Yeah,
probably.
And
the husband needed sex.
Yeah, and he'd met somebody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he wanted to divorce, but she wanted to have the family stay together and for him just to see that girl whenever he wanted to.
But like in this situation, like clubs like 357 wouldn't help Basil because he was definitely straight. He was definitely a straight guy and he wouldn't come into our – but I don't know if he visited other brothels or sex workers or whatever to I don't know what happened there, but it just shows you that, every relationship is unique and different and can work, it can work.
So each relationship can effectively make their own rules.
Correct.
And those rules can change over time.
Correct.
As long as both parties agree on them.
That's right.
And it remains safe and legal, obviously.
Yes. And you don't hurt each other, as long as you don't, because of your sexual desires or what you want is impacting your partners, that's when it's wrong. But if you can both make that joint decision, it's a great thing.
And do you think that talking about being in an open relationship is frowned upon, and maybe why?
I think it is. Do you?
Yeah, yes.
Very much so. I think a lot of people sort of look at you. I think they do. Absolutely.
And sadly for me, every time someone says to me, we could never do an open relationship, one of them is
correct.
Playing. One of them is always playing. Not 100%, but generally most of the time.
Yeah. But I also remember in the last 23 years, like we would go somewhere at say a party or something like, a function or something, and they go, oh, there's the Sauna boys, and they're in an open relationship. We were a double bonus. Because we were not only did we own a sex venue, we were also, in this open relationship. So we were sort of really not put down, but sort of, I don't know.
Maybe that's why a lot of our friends are straight. I don't know.
I don't know.
Are you open relationships because this is my personal view, because it doesn't fit in that perfect, neat, square box of straight, monogamous relationship. People will frown upon it. I suppose it goes back to also religion, which is also maybe a controversial topic, but that's why people, you have an open relationship. That's not healthy. And I personally think that it is actually very healthy if both parties agree on it, and it can create an honest relationship. You can live forever together.
Yes.
Grow old and die in your hands, in each other's arms, where you've had an open relationship.
I'm so lucky to have someone to get old with. I'm so lucky, you know.
Yeah.
And to me, love and sex is a little bit separate. You can love someone and have sex with them, but you can also love someone and have sex with someone else.
That's right.
For me, that's okay. That's not for everyone. That's just my opinion.
Of course not. But we also have some other good friends that are incredibly religious as well, and they're totally.
We actually have a lot of religious friends.
But they've never ever strayed. They've never ever strayed that we know of, and they're so much in love, and they've had a close relationship since they was. I think they met when they were 16 years old, and they're still in love today, and they're in their mid 60s.
Yes,
and I think that's beautiful as well. I think that relationship. I look at that and I think, wow, that's really special, and that works for them.
Let's take a step out of that comfortable box where everybody expects us to be sexually, and let's be okay with being outside of that box. And open relationships is one of those things. And you'd be surprised how many people are very happy in a relationship being it open.
Correct.
And how many people are in a closed relationship which is not honest?
Yeah.
Yes.
And also in an open relationship, like, sometimes I would visit another venue in Sydney because I wanted that type of sex, and I couldn't get that from Thai. So I enjoyed going to that venue from time to time and getting exactly what I wanted. It's like going to a restaurant and ordering, I want Italian tonight. I want a pizza. It's the same sex-wise as well. Sometimes I would go to this venue because it's exactly the type of sex I needed and wanted at that time.
And we loved each other, and we couldn't give that fetish to each other.
That's exactly right.
I might have liked exactly what you were looking for as well.
Yeah,
but I couldn't do it.
And it wouldn't have worked with you.
No, like we know each other too well. Like we'd laugh. We'd look at each other and go, what are you doing? Like imagine role playing with you or dressing up as someone, or like you just say, get off me, or what are you doing? And we'd laugh. Like it'd just be funny. You couldn't do that.
And also Friday night, you only gave me 3 minutes a week.
It just wasn't long enough,
it wasn't long enough for my fetish. So yeah.
Oh, we are laughing around this table. Yeah. Very serious conversation, but there's also a fun aspect to it, isn't it? We can all have a bit of a laugh there. Yeah. At 357, how did open relationships come in? Because I know that you had, I think, a particular night where people could come in as a couple.
Yeah, we did. That was on a Monday. We used to host buddies nights on a Monday.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Yeah, and I always remember that we had a couple, a Caucasian and an Asian gentleman. They only ever come in on a Monday night, and they only played together because their thing was they wanted to have a threesome, but they wanted to have a closed relationship and introduce somebody once a week that would be, spicing up their sex life.
And they wanted a stranger.
Always a stranger.
Yeah.
Yep, always.
A stranger.
But they always swap because one week they would look for a Caucasian gentleman for the Asian partner, and then the following week they'd swap to look down and try to find the opposite for the following week. So whatever works for those people, anybody listening, is okay. It's actually okay to experience and pop out and find whatever works for you.
And I have another friend who's gay and has 2 partners, and they live together, the 3 of them. They even have a mortgage together and 3 names.
Yep.
So that's what he wanted 2 bears to live with. He found 2 bears. They're lovely guys. They all live together.
And they all live
really,
very
really
well
happy.
together.
Yep. So, and they've been together over 10 years, the 3 of them.
Yeah.
So I just wish everyone would just go, that's okay. Like it just doesn't matter. Like again, as long as it's consensual, it doesn't hurt anyone, all the regular stuff, it's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
It's nice to be able to tell people around a table, oh, yes, we're in an open relationship, and for it to be okay and not frowned upon. Yeah. I think that's important. That's why we're having these conversations, and I hope that everybody listening and who may have been frowning on an open relationship that they might have discovered within their friend network, don't frown on it. Be happy for them because they are obviously happy.
And I'm sure there's a lot of other genders and heterosexual couples and whatever who do also do that. It's not... I'm not saying that we have all the fun as gay people. I'm sure that the heterosexual people out there have just as much fun as what we do.
But I also think it's important to talk to your partner as well. Like if you've got a certain fantasy or something you want to, live out, don't hide it. talk to them and they might want to experience that with you. So, it's something that, you can experience together as a journey as well as, on your own. It just depends upon whatever's happening in that relationship.
That's correct. And that depends on the couple.
Like when I used to have to go to those other venues because you couldn't fulfill that fantasy, we spoke about it before I left.
Yes, that's right.
And you would know where I was going. So it was okay.
Coming back to that honesty part, open up. What would be a good way? Let's say somebody's listening to this podcast and goes, gosh, this is me. This is me with my partner. How could they approach that conversation? It's a difficult conversation to have because the partner might go, you've been having sex behind my back. No, maybe not, but I'd like to. And it as much as the fear of it breaking that relationship, what would be a good way to approach it? Do you have any advice?
Well, I just think sexually you change. Like, like I know I'm a very different person to what I was at 18 to what I am now at 56. And over that period in time, I've changed sexually. And both Ty and I have been very lucky. We've always had a very relaxed relationship where we talk about things like everything from mortgages, to moving house or, the grocery shopping and sex. It's all just bundled in. And we were lucky enough to be able to have that relationship where I could talk to him about, I wanted to have, sex with guys with Prince Albert rings. That turns me on. And that was something that Ty wasn't going to participate in. And
I was not putting a hole to the end of my penis as much as I loved you.
I know. but it keeps, our relationship, it kept our relationship. The honesty, I think, probably kept our relationship still together. That's how it worked for us. So we were able just to open up that conversation and say, oh, look, I'd really like to go to, at that stage it was called the Den and headquarters and stuff, and they were sort of into heavier sex than what 357 was. 357 was quite sugar sex. We played Kylie Minogue and those type of things. It was quite softer sex. It wasn't harder core sex, and I preferred to have some harder core sex from time to time, not all the time, and that was something you couldn't give me. So
I agree, yeah.
So if you are somebody listening to this podcast and you are in a closed relationship and have moved to an open relationship, check out our show notes. Get in touch with us because we'd love to hear from you. Let's get you in on one of our future episodes and let's hear about your journey, your story of how you went from a closed relationship to an open relationship. Was it successful? Was it not? What was the experience? We'd love to hear from you. So the show notes, get in touch with us. To close off our episode 4, I'd like to pick another story from the book. We are doing one story per episode. So we're going to take a quick break here around the 357 podcast, Sex in the City, and we're going to come back with one of the stories. We are at that point in episode 4 where we were going to pick one story from the book, but talking here with Ty and Luke, they each want to tell us a story. So we're going to start with Ty. Ty, what is your story from the book?
Okay, I don't know why I remember this guy so well. I was cleaning the locker area. It's just something we always used to do. And this guy came in. There was another guy getting dressed. The guy that was getting undressed was extremely masculine. The guy that came in was extremely effeminate. Anyway, he was mincing around and getting dressed and everything. And he kept looking over at the masculine guy and he goes, "Excuse me, have I had you?" And the guy goes,
drop the towel.
The guy goes, "I don't think so." And then he goes, "Sure, you sure?" He goes, "I think I have." And he goes, "I think I'd remember," like this. And that guy, and we're never supposed to laugh in front of clients or anything else, but I absolutely cracked up. I couldn't help it. I sat on the bench and I just laughed. The masculine guy didn't laugh, but the effeminate guy did.
If he would have dropped his towel, he probably would remember.
Yeah, probably so. I don't know why, but I
you.
really, I just remember that so far. I just thought that was really hilarious. Short one, but a funny one.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, Luke, you picked a story from the book as well.
Yeah, I've got this is an amazing story. The manager at the time was Glenn, and somebody turned up at the counter and said somebody was asleep on one of the toilets on level 1 in a cubicle, like on the physical toilet. Anyway, so Glenn went out and had a look, and Glenn had done his back in, and he was quite a big unit, like muscular, not fat or anything or large. He was quite a muscular guy, and Glenn had done his back in, so he said, "I can't lift him up. Can you come and lift him up and we'll get him into the recovery position and we'll call the ambulance?" Anyway, so I go to lift him up. I go out to the toilets. I get him in underneath my arms. And as he's coming up, he is sick. I know he was going to be sick because I think he was drunk. And I turned my head. Luckily, I missed it all. Anyway, so we pull him out to the wet area and we get him in a recovery position. The ambos turn up. Anyway, it was a guy and a girl, ambo. Anyway, he had a cock ring on. And for the viewers that don't know what a cock ring is, it's designed to keep the blood in the penis so it stays up during sex. Anyway, and he was very well endowed. Like he was a really big, how can I say that?
He had a big dick.
He had a big dick, politely. Yeah, it was very, very big.
And he had a ring which was it was over like a wedding ring, but over the
it's bigger than that. It's about the size of a finger. It was
right.
It's made out of rubber.
On the base of the cock, or it can also hold.
Well, he's went around his balls and cock, so it was all the whole thing was through this ring. And the female ambo goes, "My God, my boyfriend is nothing this size," and she goes, anyway, the other ambo goes, "We have to cut it off. We actually have to cut it off."
The cock ring.
Yeah, the cock ring, not the penis. And she goes, "Oh, can I do it?" So she grabs it and just starts cutting into it. So and then they took him away. And yeah, that was how that was that story.
That was the first time
a cock ring.
She had seen a cock ring.
Well,
and
on a penis that was incredibly well endowed. Incredibly well endowed.
Well, if you are that ambo,
yes,
get in touch with us, share your story.
And just on that, I take my hat off to the ambos. The ambos were like angels. When we had them at 357, they would turn up and you're running with high adrenaline. You know, you're trying to keep the client safe and, whenever we needed an ambo. And truly, they were a gift from God. They would turn up like angels and they would take over the situation. So this is a big shout out to all the ambos as well. What you did for us over the 23 years was incredible. Incredible.
You have spoken more than once about the emergency services.
Yes, the police as well and the fire brigade, the whole lot.
Yeah, so police, fire and ambulance.
Amazing people.
And they understood what happened at 357?
No, not all the time. Some used to be clients. They would turn, some of the ambos and police would turn up and they go, "Oh, we know where to go."
Right.
And a lot of them didn't, and they sort of walked into this staircase and they thought, where am I?
And what a lot of people don't know is police rescue come very often.
Yes, yeah.
Because of the
staircases and
the
clients in and out.
Set up in the format of a bathhouse.
Correct.
To get someone out who's collapsed is actually very complicated.
Right.
And they have to carry them on boards and things like that. So that's why often when you'll see like a recovery from a hotel or whatever, you'll see police rescue.
Yeah, but I have so much respect for that whole world because I wasn't part of that. I'd never seen police act or ambulance or fire act in any way, shape or form before 357. And when they turned up, it was just incredible.
That's good to know. So yes, and I echo that, and so does Ty. Shout out to the emergency services who were always there to help, whether you were clients or not. Thank you, as always.
And thank you to that female that cut off the young man's cock ring. You did a beautiful job.
Didn't snip the penis.
Didn't snip it.
That's good.
And I hope it brought you some joy.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Ty and Luke. This wraps up our episode 4. We've had a great time in this afternoon recording this. And again, we are going to be back with episode 5. We don't really know what's going to be in episode 5 yet. We've yet to determine that. But rest assured, we are going to talk about safe sex. We're going to talk about fantasies. We're going to talk about 357 and what happened within those walls. We hope that you are enjoying these podcasts. We want you to get in touch with us or like us. Tell us that you want more of this. Even send us a message and guide us down a path that you'd like us to be going down, a discussion that you'd like us to bring up. On that, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ty. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Richard and Ricky.
And yes, thank you, Ricky, who is always in the background. We don't hear him, but he's there helping out at all stages. We will hear, well, I was going to say we'll hear from you. No, you will hear from us in episode 5. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.